So we got the second new unit that dropped here in Archeland, and they go by the name of SUSIE and Susan. So they come in a pair of 2 within 1 unit. So that's a pretty cool, unique thing that they got going on here. The element that they are is dark, and they are a mage as well, and the weapon they use is a wand. Now let's go right into the rankings for their stats overall. So they rank here B for HP, C for physical attack, S for magical attack. Of course, that's huge because they are mages, they use a lot of magic attacks, and C for physical defense, S for magical defense, so they have really good magical defense there too. Physical defense not so much, and A for concentration, which is crit. So that's actually very nice. Their stats honestly seem pretty solid for a mage, and their HP is decent honestly. Anything that's B I consider above average, I believe. Now one of the strongest points about this unit is their passive. So their passive is called an infinite fear. So what that translates into is increase own magic attack and magical defense by 8% up to 15% when attacking targets inflicted with a debuff. But over here it says 15, so I'm guessing we'll be trying out the one that has the 15% attack buff and the magical defense buff as well. And then at the end of the action, inflict 1 random debuff. It can go up to 2 if you rank that up, and then two random enemies within 2 tiles. Now if you rank that up also, it can be 3 random enemies within 3 tiles, so it just gets a bigger range, more enemies, and more debuffs when you rank that up. So we'll just go ahead and test and trial them out real quick, and we'll also go over the abilities while we're trying them out. Now the first move we're going to use, guys, is her first ability here called a twin trick. Basically what this does, guys, it gives you the ability to teleport. So if we step up here and we click on this, we can actually teleport to any of the yellow tiles that we click on. And now remember, guys, her passive, whenever she's around enemies, she will debuff them. So let's go ahead and do that, and boom, and it's a random debuff at that, right? So damn, we actually put 2 buffs on them because this is the maxed out SUSIE and Susan that we're using from the trial, and you guys can use them as well. I unfortunately don't have them, but I'd still like to give a little showcase of my thoughts on this character, a little review so you guys can see what I think of them. But yeah, very strong unit. The only thing that this unit is that it is random debuffs, and I'm not a big fan of random debuffs. I'd rather know what buffs I'm giving the enemy, but either way, you know, debuffs is still very strong in this game, and she's just basically doing it just by every time she ends her turn, she's gonna be putting a debuff on people. So it's kind of nuts, and if you rank that up to the max, right, it's gonna be 2 at that. So it's a lot of pressure coming out from her. So they got defense down, this guy got a burn, this guy has unhealable with defense down as well. Very strong stuff. Again, it's just a very random thing though. So after you finish teleporting, you get another turn with that ability, so it's very good for mobility and to get in there and to drop those debuffs on people with their passive. Now because they have debuffs on, remember guys, her magical attack and magical defense will be up by 15% because it's the highest rank. If you don't have the highest rank, I think it'll start at 8%, even though 8% is still pretty high overall to your damage. So now what we're gonna do is use her ability called a sub-honorist, and basically what this does is just it's an AoE attack ability that hits everyone within the dark red tiles that we're applying, and as you guys can see, it'll also drop silence on them. That's the thing I like about this one, is that she does apply silence, and it's not random, so that's good. And then let's go ahead and just go ahead and do that. Here's the ability, boom, and there's the silence, and also she's gonna put 2 random debuffs on him as well because she took a turn, and her passive basically just procced. So very strong. Also, I forgot to mention, guys, this does also apply 1 random debuff on the enemy, so it's just even more debuffs. This guy is filled with debuffs. As you guys can see here, this guy has 3 debuffs, and he had the silence ability as well. And the silence ability, when you do put it on someone, it's 1 turn, so you got to keep that mindful. But even though you guys know how strong silence is, it shuts down completely a character from using any ability they have, and I believe it shuts down their passives as well. So it's very good in PvE, especially in PvP, guys. And now we're going to use her ultimate here, which basically puts unhealable on the person before the battle. So it's kind of like a counter to Valak in a sense, because you know how Valak, she has a heal over time that she puts on someone, but it actually procs before the attack. This, she puts the unhealable, and it actually makes them not be able to heal, and it's before the battle takes place as well. So it's a little counter to those heal abilities, which basically Valak that has that right now, where they can heal before the battle. So that's really huge. And then another thing you want to take into consideration when you're going to use this ultimate, as long as they have 2 or more debuffs, she will get the 50% magic penetration, which means more damage. They're gonna eat through whatever magic armor they have, so that's just gonna give you an enhanced damage done. It is a single target ability, guys, and here is the range from it. Basically just 1 tile range. As you guys can see, you got to be about 1 tile away, and that's about the range. It's not that far this range, just a regular range unit range. It's still a very strong hard hitting move, so you guys can check this out here. And they put the unhealable buff for 2 turns, so here we go. As you guys can see, we weren't able to take them out, but it's not taken into the account the HP of the magic penetration. But there's the damage, boom, and there's more damage with the damage penetration on top of that. So I think the managed penetration actually calculates after. And then it also didn't calculate the fact that our damage went up by 15% for the enemy having the debuff, and then the 50% magic penetration. And then on top of that, he has like a gajillion debuffs on him. So if he has like a bleed, ignite, he's going to take more damage. If he has turns, or if he has like another magic penetration shred on him, like it can get kind of bonkers, but yeah. Now I want to show you guys her active attack and how that looks. They do have 2 debuffs on them, so she's going to go ahead and proc her passive and get more damage, and that's her skill animation for her active attack, which looks very nice. This is her counter attack ability, guys. This is how it looks when she's attacking back. Very cool abilities. But yeah, again, like the debuffs, you never know what it's going to be. It's very random. But let's go into her other abilities real quick. So her passive here, basically, this is her very first ability she got here. It's a passive that she puts. As long as there's someone around her within 1 square, she's going to go ahead and put exhaust on them, which can lower their magic attack and physical attack by 20%. And this ability is a single target hitting ability, absorption of alcohol, that's what it's called. And then whatever damage she does 50% of that damage that she did, she heals herself. This is the teleporting ability right here. This is a curse of filth, and this is basically an AoE damage, and what it does, it puts unbuffable state on them. So I like these abilities that you know exactly what you're going to be putting on them, so that's really good right there as well. And she also has a dark leader ability, so this is really good for your mono dark team. You can use her for the leader's ability for that, but the only catch is, though, the only way you'll get this 15% increase to damage is if they have 3 or more debuffs on them. But that's actually very easy, because the dark units in this game, they all really like to apply debuffs a lot. From what I've seen, I've only used a couple of them. There was another mage that I used that he also applies a bunch of random debuffs, so you shouldn't have a problem proccing this. And of course, you know, when you have a leader ability, you get 10% stat increase overall and everything else. But you do want to have 3 or more debuffs, so you can get the 15% increase in damage. And then we have this passive here called the Power of Darkness, which is actually pretty good here, guys. The reason why I think it's so good is because it's a passive ability and it only costs 1 point. And what you do is, as long as they have 2 or more debuffs, it gives you a 20% increase in damage. Now you can put this and get the 20% increase in damage on top of your passive, which if they have a debuff, you'll get a more increase in damage, which is so easy to give debuffs, because just her standing around and ending her turn will guarantee a debuff around people. And then on top of that, you have your ultimate, which shreds 50% more of the magic defense of the enemy that you're hitting, which is even more damage, right? So this is very good. It's up to you if you want to substitute this for the teleporting ability, because they're each 1 point. But again, this is a very strong. I think this will be more for PvE, honestly, and the teleport is more for PvP. But it's still, both are very good and make her very strong in both aspects of the game. And then we also got Sub-Honorous, and we already went through this. This is the one that she can put silence on everyone. And then we also have the her ultimate, basically, which as long as they have 2 or more debuffs, she can shred their magic defense penetration by 50%. And then she also applies that unhealable before the battle, which is really good. Also, one thing I need to start getting used to is presenting the weapon as well for the character. Usually I don't like doing that, I just like doing the character showcase, but I might as well include this in so you guys can know the capabilities of their weapon when they do have it. Now this weapon increases her magic attack by 4% and her HP by 4%, and that's at level 1. And then she also gets an increased damage done by 1% for each debuff affecting the target when attacking with an active attack up to 5%. So if they have 5 debuffs on them, you can get a 5% damage increase on that. And of course that number can go a bit higher if you do level that up. And then at the end of action, she recovers 3% of her own HP for each enemy affected by a debuff within 3 tiles, up to 15%. So if she has enemies that are affected with debuffs, she can get her HP recovered by 15%, which is kind of nuts, guys. So her weapons gives her just even more damage, and then she gets some more self-sustainability, which is kind of crazy. But again, guys, I feel like the weapons are a cherry on top to the characters. They are very nice to have, don't get me wrong, but the characters still can be very usable without the weapons. But some weapons are kind of busted, not gonna lie. But even then, again, like I said, I still think characters are still usable even without the weapons. Now, what I think about this unit, I think this unit is really strong. She's gonna definitely stride more in PvP than PvE, but overall I think the unit is gonna be doing a bunch of damage and brings a lot of utility with the debuffs. The reason why I say she's gonna be doing good in PvP is because she can do silence and just cause havoc with all the debuffs and the teleporting ability. It doesn't matter if she's blocked in or whatever, you can just go right in and just spread those debuffs, and like I said, cause a lot of chaos with that, and especially if they don't have any cleansers. So and she can put debuffs for days. So again, even though it's random in PvP, it's still very helpful just putting debuffs anyway. But in PvE, I think the debuffs are going to be good, but I prefer a unit that I know exactly what I'm going to be putting the debuffs on and stuff like that. But either way, again, guys, debuffs is still a nice thing to do, and she's going to be doing a lot of damage overall just because of her stats, just because the scaling on her abilities, especially her ultimate. I think she's going to be good, and she also can be the leader for your dark mono team. Now, me personally, I'm going to be rolling for Valak because I don't have a SSR priest healer, so that's why I'm going for her instead of SUSIE and Suzanne. But I still think she is a solid unit that's going to pump out a lot of damage, and she's going to start causing a lot of havoc with those debuffs, like I said. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys are going to be summoning for her, and what are your thoughts on SUSIE and Suzanne. But yeah, that's about it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe, and share this around, and I'll see you guys in the next one. It's your boy Jada. I'm out. Peace.